All right, ladies and gentlemen. So this is, I guess, your first official lesson of social studies, Regents class. Um, the first two, so pretty much a lot of what we do in this class works chronologically, meaning works in year order. The first two lessons, though, we kind of take a holistic view and approach of first America's geography today, and then tomorrow we will look at the overall government, are the foundations of our government. So we kind of take this kind of holistic approach just for the first couple of days, and then we start working chronologically. And a lot of the stuff you see in the beginning of the year will be stuff that you kind of did in seventh grade, but we go into a lot further detail. So, having some of your seventh grade notes and having that information will be helpful, at least for the first 3-4 months, until we start going into some of the new topics after the Civil War. But we first really need to have an understanding of what our country looks like. So hopefully you're looking at the right here. Okay, I don't need you to write this down. Okay, usually you're gonna have to take notes, or either it's on a Google Doc or in your notebook. For this, I don't need you to take notes. I just need you to notice what your focus question is. What are the major landforms and regions in the United States? And hopefully, if you're sitting in Regents class, you realize this is the United States. Okay, if you don't, then we got a little bit of work to do, but this is the United States of America. We are located right here, if you follow my mouse, in New York. And our country is rather large. Okay, it's one of the bigger countries in the world, not the biggest, okay, but compared to a lot of countries, specifically in Europe and Africa and Asia, we have one of the bigger countries. So that means our country's geography is going to play a huge impact in the way people live. All right, so first off, you're not writing this, but geography is the study of places and their relationships between people and their physical environments. So you live in the Bronx, New York. Your relationship with living in a type of city will be much different than someone living in, let's say, Texas, where there's a much different type of climate, there's a much different type of land that they're living on. So we need to understand that our country has a lot of different regions and landforms. Okay, so a landform is a natural feature of the Earth's surface. Okay, so we're talking about things like rivers. Okay, we're looking at bodies of water like oceans, lakes, rivers. Mountains are landforms. Okay, it's something that the land kind of creates on its own, the Earth creates on its own, but it affects the way people live and operate, as you'll see throughout American history. And the reason why we're looking at the overall geography of these things is one of the major landforms you're going to look at throughout the year is the Mississippi River. The Mississippi River is going to come up multiple times throughout the 9-10 months we're together. So it's important to know not only kind of where it is, but also the impact of why the Mississippi River is so important. All right, so a lot of what we're doing today is just becoming more familiar with these geography terms. So when you hear Mississippi River, when you hear the Rocky Mountains, when you hear the Great Lakes, you know kind of where they are on a map and why they're important. Okay, so these landforms are going to be part one, and then we're also going to look at the regions of the United States. Okay, there's about 6 of them. Okay, there's really more than 6, but we're going to look at 6 of them. And a region is an area, okay, especially part of a country having definable characteristics. So if you follow my mouse, if you live in the middle of the country, their geography and their land is going to be completely different as opposed to people that live in New York or Florida or California. All right, so their region is different. And since their region is different, the way people live, the way people interact are going to be much different. All right, and it's important for us to understand as students, New York is not the center of the world. Okay, there are a lot of other people in this country. There's a lot of other areas, and we need to kind of get a better sense of what it looks like. Okay, if you go in December to Florida, it's going to be pretty warm. If you go in December to Maine or Montana or Michigan, it's going to be freezing cold. All right, you need to know this, okay, as you kind of understand where our country kind of goes through. Okay, so the way we're going to do this is through this document. This has been shared with you. Okay, this document, as you can see, starts with the major landforms in the United States. All right, so it's going to be pretty straightforward. You could probably almost figure out what I expect you to do just by looking at the photo, but you're going to work with this word bank here, And what you're going to do is you're going to use Google or research or whatever you can to basically look up where the location of these places are. You don't need to know anything about them at this point. That's part 2 of this lesson. You just need to identify where they are. So here's what I suggest to do, though you are welcome to do it any way you choose. I suggest you take the first term, take Missouri River, all right, the copy button, go to Google, okay, and paste it, and then I would just type in like map, okay, because this will give you a good vision. You're going to take an image, okay, if you want. You look at the United States, okay, and as you can kind of see here, all right, maybe you go back to here because I think this was the best one. I really like this one, actually. The Missouri River. It's going to start in Illinois, come up north, and then go to Montana. So you need to find on this particular situation where it is. All right, so the Missouri River, if you look, okay, is going to start here and then go up this way. So this would be the letter G. So we're going to take the Missouri River, and then we're going to write it in as our answer here, okay, which I've already done for you. All right, you're going to do this with all of them just to get a sense of where they are, because when you have an idea of where these things are, it's going to help you understand what's going on better in American history class, okay, because these are natural boundaries, these are natural landforms. These don't change from 1619 to 2020. They don't change, okay, the start of American history to present day. All right, so you're going to do that first, okay? Then when you're done, okay, you're going to do the major regions. And this one's going to be a little bit shorter, but same type of concept, right? I'm not going to do it with you, but you're going to type in the Great Plains, okay, just to show you here, Great Plains map. All right, kind of pick a map that makes sense, take a look at the photo, and then try and figure out, okay, which color is it? And you'll notice that there is some overlap. Specifically, let's look at the purple and orange. Some regions can overlap. Some places where people live can overlap. So people living in Kentucky, this state right here, are actually a part of 2 regions. All right, so once you figure out which color is which, you're going to type in the word bank so you have a better sense of where that is. This is part 1 of your lesson. Part 2 is going to be a little bit of note-taking and some Regents question answering. It might be your first time being exposed to some Regents questions, so they won't be overly hard, but it is good to kind of get a sense of what they are. All right, so you're going to click off the video now, finish this, and then when you're done, you're going to click on the next link. Okay, I will see you shortly.